Welcome to another horror review Sunday. Today, we are going over Motel Hell. Came out in 1980, directed by Kevin Connor, a British director. Yeah. Uh, this is a freaking fun-ass movie. This is wild. This is definitely different and unique. This is about a brother and sister who run a hotel, but they also have this food company, their own little food product that's very popular within like a 100-mile radius, and their secret ingredient is people. But don't tell the people that. Nobody knows that they're eating humans within a 100-mile radius. That is just crazy to think about. Could you imagine finding out like later on that the beef jerky you've been eating has been basically people in your city? That'd be crazy. So this movie is wacky, and I found out that the script was like tamed down. Like it was gonna be even wackier. Like it was gonna open up with the main girl in this movie, the big one, like in a bed with a pig and a dildo, but all that shit got scrapped. And Kevin Connor, the director, he came in and kind of tamed some stuff down and made it a little bit more serious, but still funny. He kind of kept all that charm to it and all the comedy, but wanted it to be more serious. He wanted the actors to take the source material a little bit more serious, give it their all, and that makes the movie even more funny. It's like when you can tell they're taking it serious and they're giving like their best performance with this source material. It makes it funnier. It's like a sleepaway camp where it's so cheesy, and then it's cheesier because you can tell that the actors are like giving it their all, but they suck, you know. But these actors, some of them hit or miss. There's a couple of decent ones in here, but for the most part, it's bad. I don't want to say it's dog shit, but it's not that good. So it's got that cheesy B horror movie acting going on in it. But anyways, before we continue any further, I just want to give a quick shout out to Manic. This guy used to comment all the time in my videos back in the day, but he came back now under a new name. I recognize your profile picture, Manic, but thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed this review. So let's go over the positives for this horror comedy. This is probably one of the first horror comedies. This came out in 1980. Were there horror comedies in the 70s? I'm sure there was, but what about the first big one? Is this the first big horror comedy? I wonder. So, yeah. I don't know. This could be the first one, and I think that's the positive I can give this movie, definitely, is that it is fun, it is unique. The whole idea of planting people in the ground, like ripping their larynx out or their vocal cords so they can't speak, and the sound they make, I think that sounds creepy. It's definitely effective. If this movie was going more serious, they could really make that sound scarier, but because everything else is so corny, that sound doesn't really scare you as much, but focusing on that sound alone, that is creepy. I think they hired some guy who smoked a lot. He had like the hole in the throat, the trachea. What do they call that? A trachea? What? Tricky, I'm onto it. It's in there, that word, but a tricky something. But he's got the smoker with the hole in the throat. They hired that guy to make those sounds, and that's how they got the sound for the plant people. And I like the brother-sister duo in this movie, the bad guys, and I like a movie that focuses on the bad guys for the most part. You don't get that too often in horror movies. It's usually bad guy in the background, lurking, stalking people, killing them one by one, focusing on the characters who you most likely don't ever give a shit about. But in this one, it focuses on the main two killers, and they're just hunting people and bringing them to the hotel, slaughtering them. And meanwhile, you got this girl who's like Meg in Sleepaway Camp falling in love with a guy who's like 40 years older than her. I mean, this guy's 60, the actor, and she's like 18 or some shit, and she's into that guy. That is a stretch. So I thought that was pretty funny. And that just goes, again, with the goofiness of the film. Like, it just does things that are unique. Things that you don't see usually. An 18-year-old falling in love with a 60-year-old. Not only falling in love with him, but trying to marry him towards the end. Wow. It's, yeah, just a goofy as hell movie. Unique premise. Love it. And I love the credits and neon font at the beginning. It goes with the whole Motel Hell title, like it's the motel, and it's got the motel like lights in the credits at the beginning, and like the sign explodes, or like the O like goes out and says Motel Hell. So I just love that, all that 80s charm. I love the poster. Honestly, this is the original poster right here, and I think the Scream Factory poster is in here also. This is a Scream Factory release, and it's got that poster. Can you see it? Nope, it's just gonna get darker. Can you see it? There you go. Yeah, so that's the other poster for it. But yeah, I love the title too, Motel Hell. It's definitely an 80s title. You don't see titles like that anymore. I love the villains. I like Farmer Vincent. Even though he's old and charming as hell, like I can see why this 18-year-old's into him, because he is definitely charming. He's very nice, and even his sister, I forget her name. Let me look it up. Nancy Parsons, yeah, the actress. She plays the main girl in here. She's pretty funny and wild too. So yeah, just lots of good things to say about this. The only like mixed thoughts I have on this is the score. There's moments where I like it, I dig it, and there's other moments where I just don't. So it's just like, the score's okay. It's got some weird soundtracks within it, but I think that kind of just goes with the goofiness of it. And as for my negatives, like I said, the acting, to be expected, bad. But this one, I think the worst actors in here would be the main innocent the protagonist, the one who's falling in love with the antagonist. Her acting's not that good, and I think I remember reading that she was dating I think she was dating the writer of this movie, one of the writers. So yeah, that's how she got that role. But we get to see her boobs. That's a positive. Forgot to mention that. There's nudity in here. There's no gore, but there's nudity. So they make up where they, slacked in. They didn't have much gore, but they have nudity. But I think the MPA probably fucked with this movie also.
Didn't he tell you? He's got syphilis of the brain. That's right. Oh, he's not normal at all. And he's dumb. Yeah, and his pecker don't work either.
Here's a nitpick. I think Farmer Vincent's way too old to be lifting all these heavy bodies all over the place. He's throwing them in the back of the truck, and he's throwing them in the fucking plant, the gardens, whatever. Get out of here. There's these torsos, and I believe they're torsos. They could not be, but I believe we're led to believe that those torsos hanging on meat hooks in their factory are actual human being torsos, and they look fake as hell. So those props, they could have done a better job on that. And yeah, there's no gore. I just mentioned that. That's a shame. With an 80s slasher, and they're grinding up people, and they're making them into beef jerky or whatnot. Like, you could really show some gore, but they don't. So that's a shame. It's a stretch that Terry, the main girl in this movie, likes old men. They don't explain it, but I guess she's just into old men. And the biker she's with at the beginning, when they fall off the bike, it's the worst bike crash I've ever seen in my fucking life. I guess that since that guy was old, so I guess it makes sense why she likes him now, but he's even older. But that is just a stretch. That is like, no, not happening. And the whole hotel part of the movie, it's called Motel Hell, but I feel like the motel is useless to the story, because it's not like the hotels, it's what draws the victims in, and then they kill them, and they turn them into beef jerky or whatnot. It's Farmer Vincent, he goes out on his own, travels to the road, and picks off people like that. He shoots their tires out and sets up bear traps. He just comes up with different unique ways to crash people's cars, and then drags them to the garden and plants them. So the motel is what, secondary money for them? He makes all his money from mainly the food he's selling, and then the hotel. It just seemed like the hotel could have been more useful for the plot, but he doesn't need the hotel. The hottest chick in this movie is definitely Terry, especially when she's in that bathtub later on. And the clap award for best scene goes to the chainsaw battle. This is a chainsaw battle before Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 ever had one. So final thoughts before we dive deeper into this movie and my spoilers. I would say that this is definitely a fun, zany, goofy-ass horror comedy, 1980 horror comedy. So it's got that 80s charm, 80s atmosphere, 80s acting. Doesn't have any gore, but it's got some nudity if you're looking for that. And it's just a unique premise, and I think it's a blast. I've seen it 3 times now, once with the audio commentary on it. So when it comes to Motel Hell, definitely check this one out. It is a cult classic, so go out and buy it. So, alright, this movie opens up, and Farmer Vincent, he leaves the hotel, and he goes and he shoots the tire of the bike. And we got Terry on the back, and the way they shoot this crash, it is so pathetic. They just barely fall off, and then they're both, knocked out cold. It's really? Get the fuck out of here. And then there's these twin girls, and it reminded me of The Shining, which came out the same year as this. So, did they take a peek at Stanley Kubrick's script or something? You got these 2 twin girls, and then Farmer Vincent, he's they're screaming in the car. He's I'll handle this. I'll get them to settle down. He just screams at them, and they shut up. That's how you tame your children. That's how you get them to stop screaming as you scream right back at them. I don't know why those twin girls were completely unsupervised. Like, yeah, go explore the slaughterhouse, girls. We're going to talk to Farmer Vincent. That's 80s parenting for you. But yeah, Terry, she wakes up in bed and she's wearing completely new clothes. I think, I remember that. It's been a while since I've seen it. I could be wrong. But I wrote it down. She's wearing completely new clothes and she doesn't wonder, like, who these people are and why she's wearing new clothes. That means they had to see her naked. They had to take her clothes off and put new ones on her. Why she needs new clothes. A little dirt isn't going to kill you. All right. And she's not even, like, disturbed by the fact that he's like, oh yeah, I took the liberty of burying your dead boyfriend for you. You're welcome. Get out. Then the veterinarian shows up and he sees like a gate in the distance, so later on he goes to check it out on his own, crawls over the gate, falls on his ass. There's a lot of like falling on your ass, like physical humor, like weird physical comedy where people just get bumped in the head or they fall on their ass and it's supposed to be funny, but it's not that funny. But he falls on his ass like twice and then sees all the bodies being like planted, and then he gets planted, and then I forget her name, the girl, the main bad, the Farmer Vincent's sister. I forget her fucking name, but whatever. Ida? Why am I thinking Ida? It could be. I don't know her name, but I like when she sees the veterinarian. She's like, "Hey, thanks for when did you drop in?"
Da 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 da.
Bob! Good to see you. When'd you drop in?
Lots of lines that are quotable in here, like the meat's meat and man's gotta eat. I wrote that on my dad's birthday card because he's a vegetarian, and he is the vegetarian that will let you know he's a vegetarian every time he eats. Then Farmer Vincent, he kidnaps an entire band, and he has like this knockout gas that he uses to get them. And he somehow has the upper body strength to drag these people, throw them on the back of his truck, and then drive them to his garden. I'll look past that. And I love how they're like eating a picnic at a cemetery. And they're telling this story about how, yeah, our grandma, she used to basically cook us anything. And one time we cooked our own dog and ate it. She tasted great. And they all start chuckling and laughing. And meanwhile, there's like this look of disgust on Terry's face. Like, I can't believe you just told me that fucking story. That's disgusting. And she still falls in love with him in the end. That's fucked up. And then we see Farmer Vincent feeding the victims in the ground. And he has this weird system where he has like a funnel that's like taped to their head, and like the tube goes down into their mouth. And he puts like creamed corn or some shit and then just stuffs it down there. He's one of those killers that doesn't think that what he's doing is wrong. He's like, at least I'm killing them humanely. I'm helping the environment. But then the cop, Bruce, he takes Terry to the drive-in, but he stops at a Lover's Lane section where there's all these cars parked and they're all making out. He gets on the phone. He's like, this is the police. You gotta get the fuck out of here or I'm gonna arrest you. And they all start fleeing, but there's this couple in one car and they both get out butt-ass naked. They just run 10 feet in this direction, stop, and just kind of like shake their tits like, woo, and then they just run back into their car and drive off. It was like them, basically them saying like, yeah, fuck you cops, we're naked, whatever, and then they leave. And they like crash into another car, but then they just keep driving. And they don't like, collect information or anything. It's like, yeah, whatever. I don't have insurance. And they just drive off. And then we find out that this isn't the drive-in. This is Lover's Lane. And he gets a pair of binoculars, gives them to the girl that he's taken out, and says, point them in that direction. And we see that they're watching the drive-in movie from miles away with binoculars. This guy is so cheap that he won't take a girl to the drive-in. They have to just watch with binoculars. That is so fucking hilarious and unique. Like, I've never seen that before. But I also thought about it, and wouldn't your arms get tired if they were just holding a heavy pair of, like, military binoculars for, like, an hour and a half? Like, your arms would get, like, tired or fall asleep. Like, that would not be worth it. You would leave, like, all the pressure around your eyes. It would probably like, leave, like, a mark on your face. It start, like, rashing, or, like, you leave, like, rings around your face. That would not be comfortable. But she's like okay with it. She just takes the binoculars and she's like, okay, yeah, let's watch. And it's not the first time he's done it, because he takes his CB radio, talks to the drive-in people, and like, like link me to the movie so we can listen to it back over here in Lover's Lane. And then he goes to freaking rape her. He's making out with her, and she flat out says, like, no, get the fuck off me. And then he starts going at her even more when she says no. And she has to, like, smack him with the binoculars, like, get the fuck off me. And then there's, like, a disturbance on the CB radio because Farmer Vincent's, like, chasing down this other group of girls. And because of that, she completely forgets that not 2 seconds ago, he was trying to sexually assault her and just drops it like, whoa, what's going on the CB radio? Let's go follow that. We gotta go help them. And then just never mentions it again. It's never a problem. It's like, get the fuck out of here. But yeah, then like Farmer Vincent, he's chasing this other girl. He has like the fake like prop of like a cow. It's like a cardboard stand-up cow. And he knocks the one girl out, and then the other girl's driving away, so he chases her. And then somehow, just by simply bumping into the back of her car, she just goes, ah, and then like swerves towards a lake, and now she's passed out. Was I supposed to believe that that bump was a strong force enough to just knock her ass out? Again, just like that bike crash at the beginning, I'm like, really? Is it because it's supposed to be funny, or just terrible editing and terrible directing? Like, which one is it? And why don't they just run over them? Like, this is a cliche in horror films where they never want to run over the bad guy. They just want to, like, swerve out of the way. It's like the girl who sees her friend getting, like, drugged and knocked out. She could have ran over Farmer Vincent, but she didn't. I like when Bruce, he's trying to, like, push the car out of, like, the mud puddle so they can get going. He falls in the puddle, and then he just leaves his face in there for, like, a good 10 seconds. It's like, dude, quit being so dramatic and get the fuck up. Then these swingers, they come to the motel, and finally the hotel is like getting some kind of use in this plot, and they give him the cabin 1 suite, like Psycho. And then they're just doing all this crazy sexual, like, bondage or, like, S&M, like, just, like, they have, like, a whip, and they're just whipping everything. They're destroying everything in that motel hell, like, in that motel room. Inconsiderate pricks. They deserve to die right there. That chick with the whip, and she's destroying, like, all the lamps and the pictures on the wall. Like, she don't give a fuck. What a bitch. And then they come in, and, like, they're like, he's, like, pouring, like, oil all over his body. Like, is he gonna stick his whole body up inside her or something? But I love when they, like, put the laughing gas on. They say it's laughing gas. They're like, you do the sleeping, we'll do the laughing. Ha 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 ha. Or something like that. And then, yeah, we find out that this chick, Cherry, she is really into Farmer Vincent, and I have no idea why. And then they go tubing, and I think at this point, Ida, I want to call her Ida, the big girl from Porky's. Ida, we'll say that's her name. She pops her own thing, and just to, like, pretend like she's drowning, and then she tries to freaking drown Terry, and she's forcing her down. And then later on, she acts like, oh, I wasn't trying to drown you, I was just so scared. Will you ever forgive me? And I like, she's, like, praying when, like, Terry wakes up after being drowned. And she just forgives her. Like, oh, all right, I understand. You were just panicking, and you weren't trying to drown me. It's like, bullshit, she was forcing you down, you fucking idiot. Of course you're an idiot. Look who you're into. Oh my god. Oh, I can't forget to mention when she's tubing and she's got the white shirt on and no bra on and her shirt gets wet, boobs start to show. Great stuff. Great stuff. Like the final girl in Friday the 13th Part 5 at the end. But then they get engaged, and then he goes to a priest to set up the wedding, and the priest reads like a Hustler magazine. Oh yeah, and that creep, the oily, like, pervert that goes to the hotel, he played the priest on the TV in the beginning of the movie. So I'm not sure if many people caught that, but if you look at the credits at the end, you'll see that same guy's name mentioned twice, and he's the priest on the television earlier. And yeah, and then there's, like, obvious green poison in her cup, and she doesn't see it, and she drinks it, and it, like, knocks her out. So it's not poison, like, to kill her, it's just to knock her out, because they gotta go put all those bodies in the slaughterhouse and kill them, because they need a lot of extra meat for that wedding. And then we get the hypnotized scene. This scene is freaking trippy. This is his way of humanely killing people. He has, like, this spinning device and, like, all these flashing lights, and he hypnotizes you as he puts a rope around your neck, a noose, and ties it to a tractor, and he drives it and snaps your neck to kill you. Yeah, that is just very unique. That is creative. I haven't seen a more creative neck snapping in my life. And then Bruce, the cop, who's related to Farmer Vincent and Ida, He finds the victims' cars, and he starts to realize that his brother is not so innocent. And we find out that Bo, the biker guy from the beginning, he's still alive. And they all break out of the ground, and it's like a Night of the Living Dead homage. They're all like walking down the road covered in dirt. They're like zombies, and they're making that weird gargling noise. I love that scene. We get the motivation from Farmer Vincent. He's like, it's population control. I kill these people humanely too, so it's not like I'm that bad. And I don't use preservatives. And then when he dies later on, he's like, I'm the biggest hypocrite of them all. I used preservatives. What a friggin' awesome ending line. I love that Bruce has a shotgun, and he, instead of pulling the trigger, he just charges at Farmer Vincent with it, so that Farmer Vincent can, like, dodge it. Like, really? Like, you don't need to be close with a shotgun. You can just blast them from far away. And then they get into a chainsaw battle, and this apparently took, like, a week to shoot. And they're just revving and just fucking slicing at each other, and Farmer Vincent, he gets it right in the gut. And then Bruce, he just gets his tie cut off. And he comes in, like, on a meat hook, coming in to save the day. I feel like the pig mask should be a costume at stores. Like, why isn't that a thing? Why can't you buy that pig mask anywhere? And did that pig mask inspire the Saw franchise? I have to wonder. And yeah, and then you got the ticking clock situation where the girl's like on this bed that's like, it's one of those things that goes towards like a circular saw. So he has to like get this chainsaw battle over with quickly and go save the girl. And then this is when he says, I use preservatives. And then they just walk out, Bruce, the cop, and Terry, the girl, who he tried to rape earlier. They just walk out, and now they're like buddies or a couple now. So not too often do you see a movie where a guy tries to sexually assault a girl, and still by the end of the movie, they end up together. That's very different. And then the sign blows up, Motel Hell. Ida, yeah, her name's Ida. Finally, I have her written right here. Ida, buried upside down. I love that. They bury her face down, and her legs are like kicking, and then they stop because she's dead, suffocated. So yeah, that's the end of Motel Hell. The Mr. Hadwolfer best kill, I guess, will go to Farmer Vincent. I like his chainsaw battle there, and I like his ending line. I use preservatives. The Mr. Twig Award will go to Terry's boyfriend, who wasted all his cream corn energy to fall through a glass roof and get strangled to death. But those are my thoughts on Motel Hell. Meat's meat and man's gotta eat. Remember that. Put your thoughts on this film in the comments below. Like and share this video with all your friends, and become a subscriber today just by clicking on my cartoon face in about 5 seconds. And until next time, auf Wiedersehen.